In the vast tapestry of world history, few empires have left as profound an impact as the Mongol Empire. Known for their fearsome conquests, strategic brilliance, and vast administrative capabilities, the Mongols transformed large parts of the world, from China to Europe, leaving behind an enduring legacy. However, what is perhaps one of the most unexpected yet fascinating chapters of their history is their gradual conversion to Islam. At the height of their power, the Mongols were initially fierce adversaries of the Islamic world, obliterating cities, killing millions, and laying waste to empires. The very people who had once raised the great Islamic cities of Baghdad, Bokhara, and Samarkand would eventually come to embrace the very religion they had once sought to destroy. The story of how the Mongols came to adopt Islam is a complex one, driven not only by the personal choices of rulers, but also by political and cultural forces that shaped their empire. This video will explore how the Mongols, initially known for their pagan and shamanistic beliefs, gradually came to identify with Islam, how it influenced their rule, and how it forever changed the trajectory of the empire and the Muslim world. The Mongols' first serious encounter with Islam occurred not on the battlefield, but through peaceful means, trade. As the Mongol Empire expanded under the leadership of Genghis Khan and his descendants, the Mongols came into contact with Muslim merchants, diplomats, and scholars who were essential to the functioning of the vast empire. The Silk Road, a crucial trade network connecting East and West, was a key conduit through which Islamic culture and ideas reached the Mongol court. Initially, the Mongols were indifferent to religion, seeing themselves as conquerors whose shamanistic beliefs were separate from the traditions of the lands they had conquered. However, the necessity of dealing with Islamic powers for trade and diplomatic relations led to an early introduction to Islamic culture. The Mongols' pragmatic approach meant that they did not dismiss Islam outright. Rather, they observed it with curiosity, even as they continued their conquests. One of the early positive interactions between the Mongols and Muslims involved Genghis Khan's association with Muslim merchants and administrators. Many of these Muslim figures played important roles in helping Genghis Khan and his successors organize and manage their expanding empire. One significant example is the prominent Muslim administrator, Sayyid Muhammad, who helped guide the Mongols during their early expansion. These interactions were initially focused on diplomacy, trade, and administration, but they laid the groundwork for a deeper connection between the Mongols and Islam that would develop over the next century. The Mongols had no immediate interest in converting, but they respected the skills and intelligence of the Muslim merchants, scholars, and officials they encountered, setting the stage for future changes. In the early 13th century, the Mongols launched one of their most infamous campaigns, the destruction of the Khwarezmian Empire. The Khwarezmian Empire, a Muslim state in Central Asia, had been in conflict with the Mongols over trade and political disagreements, and the resulting war would have profound consequences for both the Mongols and the Islamic world. The Mongol invasion of Khwarezm was brutal. Genghis Khan's forces destroyed key cities, including Bokhara, Samarkand, and Herat, causing catastrophic loss of life and cultural destruction. For Muslims, this destruction was seen as divine retribution. Islamic scholars and poets at the time wrote of the Mongols as the scourge of God, sent to punish the Muslims for their sins and failures. The destruction of these cities sent shockwaves throughout the Islamic world, and for many, the Mongols represented an existential threat to the very foundations of Islam. It was a time of great fear and uncertainty. However, from the Mongols' perspective, the conquest of the Khwarezmian Empire was a military and strategic necessity. They had not sought to destroy Islam, but were focused on securing control over strategic territories. In the aftermath of the destruction, the Mongols found themselves in a position where they could not ignore the Islamic world. Over the next few decades, the Mongols would come to realize that, in order to maintain control over the vast territories they had conquered, they needed to understand the social, political, and religious fabric of the regions they ruled. The rise of Islam in the regions they controlled would force the Mongols to reconsider their initial indifference to the faith, leading to the eventual embrace of Islam by key rulers within the empire. As the Mongol Empire continued to expand, the Mongols began to rule over vast Muslim populations, especially in Persia, Central Asia, and parts of the Middle East. As Mongol rulers became more entrenched in these regions, they were exposed to Islamic culture and governance. The Mongols, ever pragmatic, came to see that Islam, with its rich intellectual and cultural heritage, was a powerful tool for governance. Muslims in the empire served as administrators, doctors, scientists, engineers, and religious scholars, contributing to the economic and cultural vibrancy of the empire. The Mongol rulers, especially those in the Ilkhanate and Golden Horde, began to rely heavily on Muslim bureaucrats and military commanders who had deep knowledge of Islamic law and administration. Over time, many Mongol rulers began to see the benefits of converting to Islam. Islam provided them with a way to unite their diverse subjects under a single religious banner, fostering loyalty and stability in their realms. Furthermore, the Islamic world had a rich intellectual tradition in fields such as science, philosophy, and astronomy, which the Mongols were keen to incorporate into their administration and daily lives. As the Mongol Empire fractured into smaller khanates, each ruled by different Mongol leaders, the influence of Islam continued to grow. The Ilkhanate, in particular, saw the rise of Islam as the dominant faith, especially under rulers like Genghis Khan, who would famously convert to Islam in the late 13th century. The Mongols saw Islam not only as a religion but also as a powerful political tool that could provide stability and legitimacy to their rule. The gradual adoption of Islam by the Mongol elite also opened the door for the wider population to embrace the faith, as many Mongols saw their rulers' conversion as a sign of the faith's growing importance. One of the most significant factors in the Mongol conversion to Islam was the role of Sufism. Sufism, the mystical and spiritual branch of Islam, had a profound appeal to the Mongols, especially those from the more remote, nomadic traditions. The emphasis on personal connection to the divine and the pursuit of inner peace resonated with the Mongols' traditional spiritual practices, which were centered around shamanism and animism. Sufi missionaries played a key role in spreading Islam among the Mongols, particularly in regions like Persia and Central Asia. These Sufis were often seen as wise, humble figures who could bridge the gap between the Mongols' ancestral beliefs and the growing influence of Islam. Sufism's focus on spiritual experience and devotion made it particularly attractive to the Mongols, who were more accustomed to personal and ritualistic forms of spirituality. The Mongols were also known for their religious tolerance, which allowed Islam to flourish alongside other faiths. Early Mongol rulers, such as Genghis Khan, had promoted a policy of religious freedom, which allowed their subjects to practice their own beliefs without fear of persecution. This religious pluralism helped Islam gain a foothold within the empire, as Muslims were free to practice their faith and engage in intellectual and cultural exchanges without the threat of repression. The Mongols' open-minded approach to religion provided a fertile ground for the gradual Islamization of the empire. The 13th century saw the rise of several key figures who played pivotal roles in the Mongol conversion to Islam. One of the most significant early converts was Berke Khan, the ruler of the Golden Horde. Berke, a grandson of Genghis Khan, converted to Islam in the 1240s and became one of the first Mongol rulers to embrace the faith. His conversion was driven by both spiritual and political considerations. Berke's decision to adopt Islam was partly motivated by his desire to strengthen his position within the Islamic world and distance himself from the Christian influence of his cousin, Genghis Khan, who had sacked Baghdad in 1258. Berke Khan's conversion had far-reaching implications. Not only did it solidify the Islamic identity of the Golden Horde, but it also set a precedent for future Mongol rulers in the region. His embrace of Islam also marked a shift in the relationship between the Mongols and the Muslim world. While the Mongols had once been seen as enemies of Islam, their conversion helped to reframe their role within the broader Islamic community. Berke's conversion also had political ramifications, as it helped to solidify the Mongol rule over large Muslim populations in the western part of the empire. As the Mongol Empire fractured into different khanates, the conversion to Islam became an important political tool for many Mongol rulers. Rulers like Genghis Khan, who ascended to the throne of the Ilkhanate in the late 13th century, saw conversion as a way to gain legitimacy and support among their Muslim subjects. Genghis Khan's conversion to Islam in 1295 was a pivotal moment in the history of the Ilkhanate. His decision to embrace Islam was both a spiritual and political move, as it helped to unite his realm and strengthen his rule. Ghazan actively supported the spread of Islam within his territory, constructing mosques, supporting Islamic scholarship, and encouraging the conversion of his subjects. The conversion of Genghis Khan also had important cultural consequences. Under his rule, the Ilkhanate became a center of Islamic culture and intellectual activity, attracting scholars, artists, and architects from across the Muslim world. The Ilkhanate saw a flourishing of Islamic art, architecture, and literature, which contributed to the development of a unique Persian-Mongol style that blended Mongol and Islamic influences. Over the next few centuries, the process of Islamization within the Mongol Empire continued, albeit slowly. While some Mongol rulers remained committed to their traditional shamanistic beliefs, many embraced Islam as their primary faith. The Mongols' conversion was often a complex, multi-generational process that involved the blending of Islamic practices with their traditional customs. This syncretism was especially evident in the Golden Horde, where Mongol rulers continued to practice certain elements of their ancestral beliefs alongside Islam. By the time of Ozbeg Khan, who ruled the Golden Horde from 1312 to 1341, Islam had become firmly established as the state religion. Ozbeg Khan's reign marked the final transition from traditional Mongol beliefs to Islam, and under his leadership, the Golden Horde fully embraced Islamic governance. Ozbeg's reign saw the construction of mosques, the patronage of Islamic scholars, and the widespread conversion of Mongol subjects to Islam. The Mongol conversion to Islam left a lasting impact on both the Mongols and the Islamic world. For the Mongols, Islam provided a powerful tool for governance, helping to unite their diverse empire and establish a sense of cultural legitimacy. The Mongol rulers, who had once been seen as destroyers of civilizations, became patrons of Islamic culture, supporting the development of Islamic arts, sciences, and architecture. For the Islamic world, the Mongol conversion represented the integration of a former enemy into the fold of Islam. The Mongols, once feared and despised, became key players in the political and cultural landscape of the Muslim world. The Ilkhanate, the Golden Horde, and the Chagatai Khanate played crucial roles in the development of Islamic civilization, contributing to the spread of Islam across Eurasia. The Mongol conversion to Islam is a fascinating and complex story of political pragmatism, cultural exchange, and spiritual transformation. From their early encounters with Islam through trade to their eventual adoption of the faith, the Mongols' journey reflects the adaptability and resilience of one of history's most powerful empires. Through a combination of religious tolerance, political ambition, and cultural exchange, the Mongols transformed from conquerors of the Islamic world to its most powerful patrons. The legacy of the Mongol conversion to Islam is a testament to the ways in which faith and power can shape the course of history, and how even the most unlikely of transformations can leave an indelible mark on the world.